What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm LotusAsakura, the one who never knows best, and in today's video I want to talk to you about the main lineup this year at EVO. As I'm sure you're all well aware, every year EVO hosts the biggest fighting game tournament in the world, and every year there are 8 main games that are in that lineup. Now, with that being said, there's also a multitude, in fact, a plethora of side tournaments that are held for games that players also travel all over the world to compete in. But it is those 8 main games that are usually the subject of all the spotlight, the limelight, if you want to say, and they tend to be the biggest and most popular events. This year's lineup in particular, though, is interesting because, as I'm sure has already been spoiled by the title and the thumbnail of this video, there's not going to be any Dragon Ball FighterZ this year. Before I even see the lineup, I can say that with full confidence because when you think about it, there are just too many other bigger or more recent or like mainstream games that have released since DBFZ. And last year it was kind of already on its last legs. And I don't say that to like punch down on the game or like talk bad or speak on it like I'm trying to kill DBFZ or whatever the case may be. And oh, but you made a whole video talking about the death of DBFZ. Give me a second, okay? And get your emotions out of it for just a moment, okay? Just speaking realistically, just speaking logically, Dragon Ball FighterZ obviously has dwindled in popularity both in attendance and in online play. Now, it's still a pretty popular game online. You can definitely log in and still find matches, but I would say that it just barely made the cut last year. And when you think about all the games that have a chance of making it this year, you can see very quickly that it doesn't stand much of a chance. So, first and foremost, Street Fighter 6, that's a given. Probably going to be the biggest game again this year, right? Then you have Tekken 8, just came out. Probably going to be the second biggest event. Might actually be the biggest event. It could surpass Street Fighter 6. I don't know. Street Fighter 6 shattered records last year with its entrance. I want to say it had over 7,000 players alone, right? So ain't no telling what the numbers going to look like this year, but this could be the biggest EVO ever because the third game that's absolutely a shoo-in is also going to be Mortal Kombat 1. Now, I don't know if Mortal Kombat 1 is necessarily going to be bigger than Guilty Gear Strive, which is also a shoo-in to make its way back. But when you think about it, right, those are like the big 3 when it comes to fighting games. Tekken, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. Regardless of how you feel about any of those titles, those franchises, those games, those are the big 3 when it comes to fighting games. Now, is Guilty Gear Strive the new big 3, or is Guilty Gear part of the new big 3 if Strive is bigger than Mortal Kombat? Who knows? I don't really care to have that debate or that conversation. I don't really think it matters, but those are the biggest games typically. So we already got 4 games we just named, right? Then you have Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising, which just recently came out, will probably be a main game this year. It would either be that or Melty Blood, but I think Melty Blood kind of ran its course. Grand Blue's the new, you know, the new latest and greatest or whatever. Then you also have Under Night, which would also be a surefire pick over Melty Blood type Lumina. I'm certain of. Under Night 2 just recently released. It had some issues with its PC port, but I'm sure that game's probably going to be in the lineup this year. Then you have KOF 15, which is still alive and kicking. And KOF 15 is the only game where I'm like, okay, it might not make it, and DBFZ could potentially make it over that, but I think KOF is a bigger game than Dragon Ball FighterZ at this point. And I think with that, that's 7 games already, right? So Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, Mortal Kombat 1, Guilty Gear Strive, KOF 15, Under Night 2, Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising, and then the 8th and final game, you might think, oh, it could potentially be DBFZ, until you remember that from now on, or at least for the foreseeable future, EVO is now doing a thing where the 8th game in the lineup is going to be a throwback game. Last year was Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. This year, I don't have a clue what it's going to be, but I'm about to take a look at it for myself. And so if I go ahead and pull up the EVO Twitter and I look for the tweet, because I'm sure they've made it, and yep, there it is. Let's go ahead and switch on over to our monitor. And pretty much exactly as expected, the games I just named are in fact the games that you're seeing here. So you have Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, Guilty Gear Strive, Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising, Under Night and Birth 2, I almost said Mortal Kombat 1, KOF 15, and Street Fighter Third Strike as the throwback game. That's an interesting pick. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I'm some Street Fighter veteran as if I was around watching Street Fighter Third Strike, or as if I've ever even played I've played the game like literally once ever, you know what I'm saying? I got no skin in the game when it comes to Third Strike, but that is a cool event, and it'd be especially dope to see if Justin Wong and Daigo end up making it not only in that top 8, but maybe even in that grand finals. Now, that being said, I don't know when the last time either of those players have played that game. I think Justin Wong has played it on streaming and YouTube videos and stuff. Daigo, I can't say, but I'm sure there are players out there who never stopped playing that game that are still grinding, so they would definitely have their work cut out for them. But wouldn't that be an insane moment at EVO to see Daigo and Justin Wong going at it at Third Strike in 2024 at EVO? I think that would be really cool. That would probably be the only thing that would get me really excited for that game, because like I said, I don't really have a lot of investment or skin in that game, so you know what I'm saying. But yeah, KOF makes it, Dragon Ball FighterZ does not. But the thing about that is though, right, I know I'm the one who made a video that was literally titled The Death of Dragon Ball FighterZ, but that was more so about what Arc System Works and Bandai Namco have done with that and how they've handled the game and just kind of how they made us all feel, and you know, basically just kind of casting the game aside and just letting it be to its own devices, you know what I'm saying? But as it pertains to just the game actually being alive or being played or whatever, EVO does not dictate whether or not a game lives or dies, typically, right? There have been some instances, of course, and this will have some impact, but I don't think EVO alone makes or breaks a game. Now, there have been games like DNF Duel that unfortunately did not make it to EVO the year that it released, but I don't really blame that on EVO. Like, sure, it probably had some impact and could have gotten more eyes on it and helped boost its popularity, but DNF Duel is a game that fumbled and failed for way more reasons than just the fact that it wasn't at EVO. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's way more that goes into that than just it not being in the main game lineup at EVO that year. But that being said, despite the fact that I made a whole video called The Death of Dragon Ball FighterZ, if you actually watch the video and listen to the video, I shouldn't need to explain myself too much, but if you haven't, it'll be linked probably as an end card at the end of this video, maybe in the description down below if I remember. But that being said, the thing is, at the end of the day, a game only truly dies if nobody else is playing it, okay? So with that being said, even if the game is not at EVO, who cares? If you still like it, if you still enjoy it, then just keep playing it. I mean, Dragon Ball FighterZ is still a decently popular game online, so if you log in, you're still going to find players to play with. Now, undoubtedly, right, because there's no World Tour, you know, the Dragon Ball FighterZ 2023-2024 World Tour just wrapped up like a week or so ago, and they didn't announce another one. So this pretty much is the end of Dragon Ball FighterZ, maybe competitively, but casually, the games still be a lot of fun. And I'm sure because it's such a passionate community, there's still going to be events. There's still going to be online tournaments. There's still going to be offline tournaments. And while it might not be in the main lineup at majors, it doesn't really have a crazy impact on whether you or I can jump on the game online on our PlayStations and play it. Now, at the highest level, sure, there's definitely going to be top players who are probably going to put the game aside or at least play it a lot less so that they can focus on other titles. That's just natural. That only makes sense, right? For these guys who, you know, competing is their livelihood or something that they're very passionate about, you can't really do that when the game is not at the biggest events, right? So they're probably going to transfer over to whether that's Grand Blue, Tekken, Street Fighter, Guilty Gear, whatever the case may be. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of top players who drop the game altogether or put it to the side. But again, like, a top player doing something shouldn't necessarily influence you whether or not you want to play the game. And neither should a YouTuber, myself or anyone else. Regardless of what I say about how I feel or whatever, if you like the game, play it. If you don't, then don't. And it really should just be that simple. Like I said, a game truly only dies if there's nobody left playing it, and there's still plenty of people playing Dragon Ball FighterZ, whether that's on PC, whether that's on console, online, offline, the game's still gonna be played. It's a Dragon Ball game, for Christ's sake. And regardless of what support it gets in the future, which doesn't seem like it'll be much after rollback, Dragon Ball games last for quite a while. In the hearts of the community, even if it's not in the hearts of the developer. While my own opinion of the game is not particularly high, and while this version of Dragon Ball FighterZ, the state that it's in, is unfortunately not something that I find very agreeable or very enjoyable, I will of course try out the game some more and play it some more when rollback does eventually release at some point, whatever the case is, but for the sake of content, you know what I'm saying? Playing it casually with some homies or some other content creators or some players that I normally wouldn't be able to get the chance to just because the connection wasn't good enough before. Yeah, I'll do that for a few YouTube videos, and then that's probably where, you know, I'll end things off for myself. But you know, just like anyone else, I'll just have to find something else to move on to. I've been playing a lot of Tekken 8 and making do with other games and whatnot, and I'm sure a lot of you guys will follow suit. But for those of you who don't, because you still have that love for DBFZ, continue to have that love, continue to support it. That's really all there is to it. But yeah, no Dragon Ball FighterZ at EVO this year. I'm sure there's still going to be people playing Dragon Ball FighterZ at EVO. It's just not going to be a main game. I'm sure there's going to be some sort of side tournament for it, but it's just not one of the major titles anymore. And that was to be expected, you know. All good things must come to an end. Nothing lasts forever. But that doesn't mean you have to stop playing. But with that, that's where I'm going to end this video off. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit this with a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already so you can stay tuned for all the awesome content I'm going to bring you. With all of being said, that's pretty much all off today. And remember, nothing can happen until you swing the bat. Later.